Applied physics theory and mathematical proof of God. Official audio version, English version. To open this paper, I will first state that 0 is equal to infinity. It should be noted that I am introducing a new fundamental thought to mathematics that will forever change the way it operates. That thought is that infinity is a definite number which can be used in equations of all types. The concept of infinity is a definite number which can be defined by its infiniteness, while also being described by its absolute lack of value due to infinities being both large and small. Its absolute presence of value combined with its absolute lack of a definite value. Whereas 0 is another number which previous mathematicians have failed to properly define and therefore have run into issues in certain instances, such as the proposal of 1 divided by 0. I am proposing a firm definition that 0 is a number which we should also be able to use in every mathematical situation simply by defining it by its absolute lack of value while also defining it by its absolute presence of value. For instance, the number 1 can represent something big or something small, but 0 is just pure 0. There is no definiteness about it, and this is why I say it is equal to the definite value known as infinity. To bring us back to my initial statement, using words first, I will prove it in many ways. I will do so using nothing but pure and simple logic, considering where exactly the concept of the two numbers came from. 0, coming from the living 0, capital L, capital Z, known to me through direct experience as void consciousness, capital V, capital C, and infinity, coming from the living infinity, capital L, capital I, the manifest universe, capital M, capital U. To start proving my original statement, it must be known logically that the origin of every individual number and every individual thing, positive and negative, is the constant value known as 0, which can also be described as the lack of value known as 0. As we see, the physical is constantly evolving, and new forms are constantly originating from old ones. The origin point, literally, must be an active event, not just a singular one-time thing. If every aspect of the physical is changing constantly, the origin point must be in every location of change simultaneously. And since the physical is appearing as infinity, with the origin point everywhere within it, the origin point must be equal in measure to the appearing infinity. Therefore, the origin of value 0 must be equivalent to the absolute apex of value infinity. So, this is to argue that there cannot exist a number without the underlying 0. Nothing physical can exist without an infinite origin point that is also 0. That 0 origin point must be constant and unchanging throughout time in order to allow for the infinitesimal and infinitely grand variations within it. Effectively, the 0 origin point is not affected by the physical permutations of time, just as the 0 number is untouched by any numeric value or computation. 1 times 0 is 0, and it is clear that it remains untouched. 1 plus 0 is 1, and 0 contains that value within it, so 1 plus 0 is really just 0 plus 1. By the ancient logic that A plus B must equal B plus A. The 0 and the 1 exist simultaneously. Because the 0 origin point contains every infinite possibility, it must also be infinite. Therefore, 0 is equal in measure to the concept of infinity. Furthermore, I would like to state theoretically that 0 is equal to the unmanifest aspect of God, known typically as Shiva or Krishna in Hinduism. The belief systems, which are based solely on testimonial evidence of individuals who witness and interact with God under these names, and that infinity is equal to the manifest aspect of God, known as Radha or Parvati, which is what is known to give Krishna and Shiva their personalized and individual forms. These are also forms of beings who were named these things when they walked the earth so many thousands of years ago, and people remembered their prowess and their energy and the way they lived their lives, and came to the conclusion that they were both God and human form. In a later paper, I will prove that I am the supreme person known divinely as Amber Rain, which is the ultimate combination of Radha and Krishna's form into one being, and I currently walk the earth with Willow Galan, who is the ultimate combination of Shiva and Parvati's form into one being, and that this theoretical and mathematical proof is a part of our divine Leela to kickstart the Golden Age, otherwise known as the Amber Age, that is set to begin in 2025 as predicted by the divine prophecy spoken into the land by Krishna himself, who combined himself with Radha and came down to earth 500 years ago as the being known as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by the Hare Krishna movement, who promote this knowledge of God's personal existence and have secret knowledge themselves that the form of Amber Rain is indeed the exact same form that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took those 500 years ago, as I am the combined form of Krishna and Radha. It is said that Krishna's skin tone is like that of a rain cloud, and that Radha's skin tone is golden or amber colored. And my divine name, which was given to me by the Leela alone, and not through any predetermined decision-making, describes clearly that I am exactly who I claim to be, and that Willow Galan is my eternal partner in dance and romance, just as the Hindu legends and revealed scripture will tell you. There is the story of Shiva eventually joining Krishna's Leela, and then doing so many gay and transgender things with each other by taking the forms of women and all kinds of things and dancing and laughing. And this is exactly what you will find in the life of Amber Rain and Willow Galan, that we are both very much transgender and very much in love and in Leela with each other. Next, I will begin by stating simple equations that have been proven to my knowledge by A equals logic alone, and then another equation which has been proven many times to be true, but whose validity is denied because of how they proved it, quote unquote. Today, I will show you real and genuine mathematical and theoretical proofs for any equation that I present. Firstly, there is 0 equals 0, which is foundational for the concept presented earlier of 0 being equal to infinity. Without knowing this equation to be true, one cannot process that which I have written of and referred to as the manifest aspect of God. No, wrong, I said that wrong. 0 equals 0. Without knowing this equation to be true, one cannot process that which I have written of and referred to as the unmanifest aspect of God. What the equation means is that all of that which is unmanifest is equal to all of that which is unmanifested. This is a simple truth, and yet it had to be proven logically, or else human beings would not have the right to say that they know it to be true. Otherwise, it would just be hearsay and speculation, much the same as claims made for the existence of God. If you cannot prove to someone that a being called God exists in a logical sequence of arguments that leave no stone unturned, then the claim that they exist, singular use of they, is completely worthless to humanity as a species. As such, this proof was needed for those who have made the claim previously to have their statements stand tall with the science and mathematics to back them up. The next equation I would like to present, 1 equals 1, which has been proven already with logic as well, is to mathematically explain that the totality of that which I refer to as the manifest aspect of God is in fact equivalent to the totality of that which I refer to as the manifest aspect of God. Making such a statement with no proof thereof would be of no use to humanity. It would be of no use to humanity because if this was done, then the person being told that 1 equals 1 would be left only with two options, to believe or not believe the person who is making the claim that 1 is equal to 1. To even start, what is 1? What does the number 1 represent? The person who had made the claim that 1 equals 1 without proof thereof also bears the burden of explaining what they mean when they say 1. Without even doing such a simple task, so many people have made the claim that 1 is equal to 1 and have expected those that they told to believe them with utmost certainty simply because they said it was true. Maybe they knew it was true, but it doesn't matter because they had not explained what this 1 they spoke of was, nor had they given an argumentative or mathematical proof that the claim they had made was true. The position I find myself in is one of great responsibility. Yes, because I know that God exists. I could argue in a logical sequence that God exists, and I am fortunate enough to know the mathematics required to prove that God exists. In order to do so, I will need to demonstrate to you just 2 more equations, starting with 0 equals 1. This is an equation. This is an equation. 1 equals 1. Baby. 0 equals 1. Let me say that again. Is an equation which has already been proven as well, but has been rejected by the mathematical community because they have not understood the nature of what a number is to begin with, nor have they had the proper math technique to prove it undeniably. Numbers, as a concept, are not something that human beings were responsible for creating. Numbers are something that human beings were fortunate enough to stumble upon in their evolution as a means of being taught the nature of things by the being referred to currently by human beings as God. Human beings, in their ignorant arrogance, have made the assumption that the number systems they use were created by the use of their intellect alone. But this assumption is false, and I will prove it to be so. Before I do that, I must prove the most recent equation I have presented to you within this grander proof I am presenting, that the being known and pondered about by human beings and referred to by human beings as God does in fact exist. To prove the above equation, I must first connect it conceptually with the 2 prior equations that I have chosen to help in demonstrating my proof mathematically. The number 0 represents and simultaneously is the unmanifest aspect of this being I'm referring to as God. It is a living thing. Now I'll prove that before I'm finished here. As well, the number 1 represents and simultaneously is the manifest or physical aspect of the being I'm referring to as God. It, too, is living. And I will prove that too before I'm finished here. The equation I have presented above, 0 equals 1, is the mathematical representation of the fundamental truth that the unmanifest aspect of God is equal to, not limited by, and made to exist due to its relationship to the manifest aspect of God. Manifest, equal to the unmanifest. It is the eternal and sacred law known as the Tao, translated as the Way from Chinese Mandarin, otherwise referred to as the relationship between the also Eastern concept of yin and yang, making up all of that which human scientists have grown accustomed to referring to as the universe, capital U. I capitalize the term universe here because the universe itself is alive, conscious, and deserving of being treated like a living being with the name universe for a title. The two forces, yin and yang, are equal but opposites, according to those human beings who discover that they exist through practices such as meditation and yoga. In this way, I am demonstrating further proof that the most recent equation I have written is in fact true. As it is known to me that that which is 0 is in complete opposition to that which is 1. Conversely, that which is 1 is in complete opposition to that which is 0. According to the Eastern legends and philosophies that have sprung up in various segments of the population, that which is yin is in complete opposition to that which is yang, and vice versa. As such, I feel that the two numbers are prime candidates for the proof herein of the harmonic relationship between that which is yang and that which is yin. That which is manifest and that which is not. The relationship between the two is the governing principle for the way in which the universe exists at all. It is the unmanifest which is merged and transformed into the manifest, making it so that a being such as me has the manifested ability to type on a computer, but the unmanifest ability to finish writing this proof. I will also end up proving that the following equation, 0 is equal to infinity, is the same exact equation as 0 is equal to 1. I will go about mathematically proving each equation to back up my claims. Firstly though, the existence of God is totally illogical to most modern sciences, and therefore any proof of God must also be illogical to most modern scientists. But this is not to say that it can't make sense or contain logic, it is just that the existence of God is beyond the capacity of most human intellect. To prove that I am capable of logic under even those archaic sciences though, I will prove the following two equations. 0 equals 0 and 1 equals 1. And I will do this using words first and math second. However, in order to prove that the number 0 equals the number of 0, we must first establish what the number of 0 is without just saying it, but by actually proving it. But can it even be done? How is it that we have come to know of a concept such as 0? Where did that understanding originate? It is my experiential conclusion that 0 is a living thing and therefore taught my mind of its own existence simply by existing. But what is 0 and how do we prove that we know what it is? Well, we can prove that we know what it is by first proving that it exists and that we have direct experience of it daily. To do that, the process I will now begin starting with the following equation, 0 is equal to infinity, will prove the equation stated as 0 is equal to 1, along with the equation known as 0 is equal to 0. This process will also prove that we know 0 to exist experientially by proving it exists at all. Anything multiplied by 0 is equal to 0. Anything multiplied by infinity is equal to infinity. So, what is 0 multiplied by infinity? Such a statement does not logically compute under the current mathematical system, so therefore in order to prove the existence of God, I must introduce a new system of mathematics. But first, I will write out a series of simple equations to premise further ones that will prove my above statement that 0 is equal to infinity. Okay? They are as follows. 0 times 1 equals 0. Infinity times 1 equals infinity, and negative infinity times 1 equals negative infinity. Next, I will begin a series of step-by-step mathematical proofs that the number 0 is equal to the number infinity, starting with, if x is equal to any number, including infinity, then 0 times infinity equals x, and 0 times infinity divided by infinity equals x divided by infinity, and then 0 equals x divided by infinity, and then 0 equals 0, because any number placed above infinity will come out to an infinitely repeating decimal, known simply as 0.0 repeating, otherwise known theoretically herein as 0. However, because x is any number, that also means that x could be infinitely high, and so we get the following train of mathematical logic to persist simultaneously from the same equation once we plug in the number known as infinity, having defined it by its infiniteness. 0 times infinity equals infinity, and 0 times infinity divided by infinity equals 0. Let me restart. 0 times infinity equals infinity, and 0 times infinity divided by infinity equals infinity divided by infinity, and then 0 equals infinity divided by infinity, and then 0 equals 1. So there's the proof for the equation I presented earlier. That's 0 equals 1. The proof is right there. Let me say it again. If you want me to repeat it again, I'll do it again. 0 times infinity equals infinity. And 0 times infinity all divided by infinity equals infinity divided by infinity. And then 0 is equal to infinity divided by infinity, and infinity divided by infinity is 1, and therefore 0 is equal to 1. New mathematics. It's all new mathematics. See? You listening? Okay. Boom. Next, I would like to argue that 0 multiplied by infinity equals 0 and infinity simultaneously, therefore making them equal in value. Put simply in the following equation, 0 times infinity is equal to 0 plus infinity, which means the following. 0 times infinity is equal to 0 and infinity, which theoretically herein means the following. 0 is equal to infinity, because 0 times infinity is both 0 and infinity, so therefore they are equal in measure by being both valid and simultaneous answers to the same question. You see, because the question is asking us to add 0 together infinite times, and to add infinity together 0 times. So the question must always have two correct answers, infinity and 0. But also the question itself has no definitive answer, and this is where God comes into the equation, because God is known by those who have had direct experiences of them to be both the unmanifest infinity known as 0, or Krishna or Shiva, and also the manifest infinity known as infinity, or Radha, or Parvati. But it is also known to those who claim to have direct experiences of God's nature, myself being one of them, that 0, the 0, or Krishna or infinite or Shiva, is absolutely one with the infinity, or Radha, or Parvati. You see, I'm going to repeat that. It is also known to those who claim to have direct experiences of God's nature, myself being one of them, that the 0, or Krishna or Shiva, is absolutely one, capital O, with the infinity, or Radha, or Parvati. In the Hindu text known as the Vedas, the single word they use to describe this absolute oneness of being is Brahma. This is to say that there is no separation between what we know as 0 and what we know as infinity. And the word for that number in English is God. Yes, I just called God a number. Therefore, it is my argument that the answer to the question 0 times infinity is God. And that the equation, therefore, comes out to many variations, including but not limited to the following three. 0 times 0 equals the living universe. 0 times infinity equals everything. And 0 times infinity equals God. Because of this logic, we can conclude that God is equal to everything. Therefore, if God is equal to everything and God is equal to the living universe regardless of supremacy, then everything is alive, including just the mere concepts of 0 and infinity. Thusly, I conclude my proof. Namaste.